Welcome to today's client session. What I will be sharing with you today is a distant Reiki session with a client. And so what this looks like is we do a Zoom call together, and I will send healing from wherever I am in the world to wherever you are in the world. And I will get a lot of really great messages, which you will hear through this session here, this recording. And the other things that you can expect through a distant Reiki session is you may feel the different sensations that you would feel in a in-person session. And it just depends on the sensitivity, or sometimes my intention or your intention, as for how strong the sensations in your body can feel. So with Reiki, we can feel things like heat, cold, tingles. Sometimes we can get different downloads happening for us, kind of like you would in a meditation. And all of this stuff is coming in for your healing. And especially the messages that I'm getting for you through this type of healing session, I find more come through when I'm doing distant healing than when I'm in person. I still get a lot in person as well. But basically, these healing messages are for you to take home and implement to continue your own healing journey so that you can continue to be your own healer. And that's what I really want for my clients, is I want you to be able to walk away from a Reiki session and to be able to apply the things that I've said. And then if you need help with it, that's what my coaching is for. I help you there with my coaching sessions to go more deeply into that healing if you find that you need help and you're having trouble. And then otherwise, if not, then you just take what I've said in the Reiki session and you apply it yourself and you're ready. So I hope that you enjoy this session, and here we go. Do you like to sing?
I don't sing as much, but yeah, I do.
You do enjoy it? Okay, yeah, because that's
Yeah.
coming through uh for this part for me. So um singing to me is very like emotional, and it can be
Mhm.
creative as well, depending on how you feel about it. But I know for me, singing can very much be like, whether it's actually, it's never really for other people, it's always for myself. Um,
Same here.
yeah, yeah. And what do you use it for? Is it like like emotional release sometimes, or like having fun in the car, or not feeling so great and then feel like singing a sad song? Like, what does it look like for you usually?
Usually when I'm alone, I do not sing in front of others because I'm
Okay.
not that great of a singer. But yes, uh, emotional release, that is something I
Okay.
use singing as part of.
Okay. That's really good. I like that a lot, because it's so singing, it's interesting that it's on the sacral chakra, but the sacral and the throat are actually very
Mhm.
much connected. Um, so using that creative expression and the emotionality that comes through from the sacral, and using it up through the voice and through the throat chakra as a, like, throat's about your self-expression kind of thing, is like a really, really healthy way to help move any blockages that need to be expressed. And so vocal is really, really great. And whether that's actually, it can also be like singing, humming, chanting,
Yeah.
any of those things. Or like, it doesn't even have to be any of that. It can just be like random sounds too. It feels like there's more to the singing. Does it help you in other ways? Like, will you actively choose to sing before starting a project, like as an alignment thing? Or like, it might not even be recognized, but it might just be some like, you're like, I feel like doing this, and then I'll be better to be able to do the next thing.
Not as much as I said. I mean, I only sing when I'm alone at home, when I'm doing something. Yes, if that counts, if cooking counts as a project, yes.
Okay.
Or, if I'm in my office and I'm overwhelmed,
Okay.
with a lot of work, yes, that's when I start singing while I do the work, and do feel that helps.
Okay. So some of that too then, like even if it's humming or anything using like the vocal box kind of thing, but the humming sensation too can actually trigger the polyvagal, I think it's nervous system, like it's connected to the nervous system. But it
Okay.
can help to bring you actually like it's I feel like it's actually like a version of vibrating back into a more secure state in a sense, which I think is
Mm,
really interesting. So it's so in talking about like stressful work kind of stuff, like
right.
it's you're like naturally doing something to bring yourself back down into a less stressful environment, like internal environment.
Yes, yes, that is true. It does help a lot, especially when there's a lot of work piled up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a lot of validation for knowing what your body needs to help de-stress. And then regarding the cooking, do you find that that just happens and like in that moment it's just you're very present?
Yes, and at the same time, I don't find it, um, I don't feel cooking feels like a task anymore because frankly, I'm not a person who cooks much. You know, I need to have to survive, but when I do and I sing or I listen to music and yeah, it the entire activity gets done pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I feel like this is all going to be a theme throughout this is the singing and the voice. Um, the it's I find it interesting with the again any like singing or humming and when you notice that's a like that there's this different versions of it. So it can be like the de-stressing version with work, and then there can be this aspect of presence, um, like with the cooking. And
Yeah.
there's like I don't know if it's kind of like asking you to be more aware in the other moments when you start to just like naturally start to hum or to sing and see that the other areas of your life and that whatever tasks it is that make you become present, and then that singing is like the marker of being in that state. Does that kind of make sense?
Makes sense. Yes, it does. It
Okay.
does.
Okay. And I'll just tell a personal story on this as for why this feel like it feels significant for me to share it with you because it's that's something that I realized I hadn't really been doing unless it was in the car, until I
Mm.
started doing this one particular task where I started humming and I was like, I have not hummed over anything in the longest time. And so it was very significant to me about how it made me feel so present in my body. And I think it's kind of meant to be an understanding and gratitude towards those moments, especially if you feel really dysregulated. You don't really feel like you're a super dysregulated person to me. Um, but yeah, it's kind of like that aspect of gratitude for when you really notice those being in the present moments.
No, I agree with that. Especially, if you're taking a stroll or you're just walking somewhere and you start humming,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, at that point you actually feel everything that's around you, the weather, and I don't know, you just feel good at that point.
Yeah, yeah, and then it feels like building a tolerance. Um, in a sense, to building a tolerance to feeling good, because there's also this aspect of like limiting ourselves to lesser feelings because that's our normal. And then as we notice those better feelings, we can build a bigger muscle, a bigger tolerance to feeling good more often and making that our new normal. So I've moved down to the root chakra now, and that's stability, safety, home, family, money, work, any of those things can affect the root chakra. Do you have people in your home or that you deal with that like raise their voice, yell, or are kind of obnoxious?
No.
No, okay.
I mean, apart from the, I think bickering with my husband, I think that's all. But I guess that's pretty normal. It's not a, yeah, it doesn't get bloody.
Okay. Okay. No, but it's that type of so as I'm working on the root chakra, that type of conflict though, it can like it affects the root chakra. It affects it's affecting your like your stability there. Maybe a little, it feels like a little bit of the safety too, because if it's depending on how the conversations actually go, or are
And by safety, what sort of, I mean, from what
emotional,
aspect?
like emotional safety
Okay.
kind of things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something that I find not a lot of people must always recognize, because most of the time when I talk about safety, I mean emotional safety. And
Yeah.
and so stuff like raised voices, or not listening to boundaries that are being set can cause this feeling of a lack of emotional safety and like not really caring for our own internal emotional world kind of thing. And that's and work when I'm doing Reiki, like that is what we're working with anyway, is the emotional
Mm-hmm.
side of things, emotional and energetic side of
Yeah.
things mostly, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, there's an aspect of that where it feels like there's communication that could be better and because it's not, there's like it's affecting the root chakra. And so the way that can be fixed is to just say like these things, like I feel like you're sensitive enough to notice the changes in your body. So if there's a conversation that's happening and like if a voice is raised, because this is like it's very common. A lot of humans do it. And it's just about that, like the other person not being heard. Like I'm sure you may have done the same thing. I know I've done the same thing where it's like, I don't feel heard, so I'm just going to get louder, which doesn't actually make anything
Yeah.
more effective.
Mm-hmm.
But but if that makes us uncomfortable, then it's just about speaking up for ourselves and saying, hey, I'm open to having this conversation. However, I'm not open to having it if you're going to raise your voice. It needs to be in a calm manner. And we can talk about it. But if you're going to raise your voice, then I'm going to ask you to change it. And if you don't, then I'm not going to continue until we can have it in like calmly. And I'm going to leave, like to the other room or whatever the situation is, right? And then we can try again in like 15 minutes. And then just having conversations like that, and that will help to bring in safety, like emotional safety for you.
Mm. Yeah.
Mm.
I try that. I really try it out.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but in most cases, I get blamed for being the one who's being ignorant or repeating the same mistakes or saying something that I should not have at that point.
Yeah, and so
Mm.
that doesn't feel good either, right? That doesn't feel emotionally safe because you're not being
Yeah.
and um you're not being seen at all. And again, your feelings are not being
Mm.
taken into consideration. They're actually being made to feel even worse.
Yeah.
And they're not taking accountability for their own side of it or like how they are responding to you, right? So again, boundaries can be made with that. It's working on that
Mm.
communication of saying, I understand you're upset, but blaming me is not an appropriate response. You can tell me how you feel, but if you turn it on me, then again, this conversation is over until we can have a conversation where you can talk about your feelings solely, like I statements, I feel
Yes.
statements. But yeah, as soon as you start blaming me, this conversation is over. But then it's also like holding that, saying that, and then reinforcing it by continually doing, like you have to hold that boundary for yourself, kind of thing. And so there's
And
follow up.
mm.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So, I mean, I understand what you say, what you're saying right now, but as I said, I try to clear it out at the same time, if we're fighting over something.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it all comes down to the point where, he says that, oh, you've done this before. How many times would you repeat the same mistake? I've told you not to say these things, when I'm talking to someone about it, do not meddle or something like that. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to communicate in such situations where I am present. I understand what he's trying to say. I acknowledge that yes, I was wrong, but it just drags on sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe, okay, so then maybe there's more to it, because kind of you using that example there,
Hmm.
um, there might be more that like it sounds like he might have a story in his head about what it means to him. And there's this own like core wounding in there that's playing out. And so it might just be you asking a few more questions about it. Again, it might have to be more in a when it doesn't feel as heated, because it's harder to get there. It's harder to get
Mm.
vulnerable if they're feeling defensive. It's like,
Yeah.
what exactly about this is it that's bothering you? Like, do you feel disrespected by something that I did? Do you feel like um, whatever happened is like I'm affecting the way that you're being heard or understood because I did whatever the situation is? Like, what is it that's happening that's
Mm.
causing this? Because um, it's going to be something like that. It's not necessarily, it's like his story. It's not actually about you necessarily. Like it's
Exactly. It's
right.
about how he feels at that point.
Yeah, so it's just trying. So maybe again, try and be like, I understand that you were upset the other day, but I'd like to understand more. So can you
Mm.
just talk to me more about how you felt about it? Um, and asking some more like open-ended, a little bit probing questions. So
Mm.
not saying that he's wrong or anything like that, but just being like, well, this keeps bothering you, and I just don't understand. I would like to understand why it bothers you so that
Mm.
I can handle it differently, because the way that we're talking about it right now isn't like I'm just not getting it. And I know I'm capable of getting it. I just need to hear it a different way or whatever it is, right? So you can
Makes sense.
also validate yourself
Yes.
in it, because honestly, most of the times when we don't feel like when we're doing something that's bothering someone, we just don't understand it hasn't been communicated properly to us why the
Right.
thing is bothering them the way it is,
Exactly.
right? So it's,
Exactly. Yes.
yeah. So taking care of yourself, validating yourself, being like, hey, I'm trying. I'm trying. And there's like, there's some teamwork here that we need to just create
Yes.
we need to talk about this in a different way or ask different questions. And so hopefully that'll help with that.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm going to do that.
Okay.
And it has changed. I mean, it used to be really bad before, as in if he didn't if he was offended by something, I mean, with whatever I said or did,
Yeah.
he wouldn't even tell me about it. And there have been times where we wouldn't speak, or he wouldn't speak to me for a week.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that sounds like he's either um so going into some of my coaching stuff, there's like different types of attachment theories with people, attachment styles.
Yes.
So he sounds like
Mm.
he might be either dismissive avoidant or fearful avoidant, depending on what the situation is. But usually, the dismissive, so fearful avoidant has both anxious and dismissive tendencies. And there can be like a swinging pendulum. Does he tend to go more to like always avoiding the situation and taking big spaces of time?
He used to, but that has changed.
Okay.
He has changed a lot. I mean, that's what I said, he wouldn't speak to me. He wouldn't even tell me what was wrong. And I'd only find out
Mhm.
after a week,
Okay.
despite me, asking, hey, what's going on? Let us talk it out. Let's see what has happened. No, I wouldn't know for a week.
Okay. Okay. So then follow-up communication with that would be like, I understand we're in a
Yeah.
conflict and I know the thing that you need is time. All I need from you right now is I just need to know how much time you need, how much time you think you need. And then once that time is up, to just follow up and say, I need more time, or yes, I'm ready, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And some of that will help with, at least it'll help with your side of things, where it's like, I know I want to talk about this. Are we going to talk about it eventually? Are you in a state that, so
Yes.
he's gone into like a shutdown mode basically in his
He
nervous system,
does.
so he can't have that.
Yeah. Mm.
Um, but yeah. So yeah, I would say that he sounds like he's more of a dismissive, avoidant type of attachment style. I'm gonna bring this up to your heart, and we'll focus back in on some of your stuff. Like it
Sure.
obviously it affects you, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll focus back on.
About me.
So I'm coming up to the heart now. So this is self-love, giving and receiving energy. The back body feels cold to me, which the coldness in my hands feels like there's a blockage there. And the back body is about the past. So the the words I'm getting and the feelings that I'm getting from it, from the back body, is like stabbed in the back, but not in like literal sense, but like feeling like trust was majorly lost. It's not saying, I'm not getting like what relationship, but there's a feeling that's in there about that. And then that's something that can be from this lifetime, or it can be from different different lifetimes. So like past lives, or different types of it could be ancestral, like generational stuff coming through. So from your family line, from generations past, and it can be passed down into our bodies. So some of the stuff that we actually deal with, a good portion of it isn't even ours.
Mm.
It's stuff that's just been continually passed down and never healed. Oh, I just got feminine energy. I feel like it's from your your maternal line. Like there's some sort of
Okay.
story of being like, you can never trust ... Like, is that a story, or like someone in the maternal line has said something like that? Like you,
Not that I know of,
okay.
because uh, I've always been living separately. I mean, me and my family,
Okay.
we weren't really with the family as such. So,
Okay. Sometimes it doesn't have to even be a lot of there doesn't have to be a lot of exposure to it for it to sink
mm.
into your system.
Mm.
And it feels more that feels more connected to receiving, to allowing and accepting from others. So whether that looks like help, or yeah, it mostly seems like help. It's not, I'm getting money too. Like sometimes it's people want to give money. Um, and there'll be like, no, 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 whether or not you need it or not, it's like the answer is kind of like, no, no, I'm good. But it's just there's an aspect of just understanding that some people's love languages is about giving in certain ways. So whether that is through helping, and some people that is through money, and like they don't know how to give it emotionally or with help or in any other way. So the way they give it is like it could be the gifts or literally through monetary value, because they're like, I do not know how to show them that I love and care about them any other way. Yeah, so it's just reframing the receiving and being like, people are saying they want to help because they really do want to help, and it also gives something back to them. So not only are they trying to give a gift to me, it's a gift to them to allow them to do this thing or give me this thing, and just having that be like a reframe. And then I'm just going up to the throat now. So again, that's the self-expression. Self-expression, being heard, being properly understood, that clarity of choice of words and how you speak and present whatever whatever I don't want to say argument, but whatever the situation is, pitch, anything. And there's something about a flute. I don't really know what that means, if that's symbolism or something, or whether it's someone plays that instrument. Does the flute mean anything to you?
The only thing that's coming in my mind is that my dad used to like, I mean, he never played the flute, but that was one of his wishes. But no,
Okay.
nothing
Okay, so
else.
I would go with that. I might get more
Mm.
information on it, but that might be the connection for it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because in hearing that, it feels like that could have been a version of his own self-expression that he never did. And so moving it over to you, like, you don't have to play the flute or anything like that, but it's just like a message of being like, don't, there are versions of self-expression that you can do for yourself. And again, I think this just goes back to the singing, and make sure that you do continue to do it for yourself, because it is a really good way of being self-expressive. It's not just that though. I'm also seeing like, I think she's a Greek goddess and she's playing the flute, which I don't think that instrument matches the timeline, but there's more to it. Like, it kind of feels angelic, but not quite. The visual I see is like, I can't fully see the face of whatever this goddess is, but I see like the flowing, really beautiful flowing like white robes, dress robes, like they're moving in the wind, but it's a still picture. It was being very symbolic. I really don't know what's going on with this one, but so goddess of music, I saw like a little shot of like lightning. It didn't seem like
Mm-hmm.
anything dangerous though either. It was just kind of like showed up, or like lightning bolt showed up for a second. But the sky looks fine, so it's kind of like a random thing. I'll go up to third eye. We'll see what we have there. So third eye is intuition. Okay, so here again, I'm getting some symbolism. So I'm getting Sailor Moon. I don't know if that's something that you've watched at any point in time, but I'm getting Sailor Moon. Pole dance in the city, and then there's a particular instructor that I just came across who does who's teaching there at this, who has all of these elements. So I don't know um, if like intuition seems to be connecting to all the things that I'm doing in an upcoming workshop, because I've kind of got like, there's a pole dance class that I'm doing with a women's circle. But this stuff is connecting to this particular woman at a different pole dance studio in the city. And I also know that she has a Sailor Moon tattoo. But so I don't, does any of that mean anything to you? Like, is pole dance for me is also about like expressing your femininity and your sensuality, and like bringing your sexiness back out and getting in tune with your body. So is there like any intuitive stuff going on in your body that's being guided towards like stuff like that, or is it, or like what's coming up for you with all of what I just said there?
No, I really haven't thought about, I mean, no inclination towards pole dancing, although I do dance.
Okay.
And again, Sailor Moon, I haven't seen, although I do watch a lot of anime,
Okay.
but not Sailor Moon. Yeah.
Okay. So the connection might just be
Yeah.
to anime, and then
Yeah.
just to dance, because like pole dance is my version of dance, so it could just be
Yeah.
those parallels for you then. So
Yeah. I mean, in my spare time, I mean, my way to relax at home and just not do anything and just, de-stress is watching anime. That's what I do.
okay.
I could, yeah.
Okay,
I
so
think.
that's really good then. So those those things are actually coming through intuitively for you to again like to do again. And then
Mm,
I think actually with the anime stuff there might be some like messages in there for you. Like when you're watching it,
mm.
there are things that are like life messages that are coming through for you. That's what it feels like. Does that do you find that happens sometimes when you're watching it?
It does, and I do watch a lot of the ones which are, the slice of life ones. I do like those. I watch that a lot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that could mean something.
Okay. Oh my goodness, we have a lot of dog sounds happening in the background here.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I can't control those guys. Mm.
I can't hear them, so that's fine.
Oh, okay, that's good then.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's it's done now. It's complete. How did you find that? Was it interesting?
It was interesting, and I normally do not. I don't even meditate, although I know I should for a few minutes. But
Yeah.
this this was a very good, meditative uh, session, you can say, and it was calming.
Okay, good. Did you feel any sensations as I was sending it to you, or not so much?
I did at first. I don't know. When you started with the solar plexus, yeah, at that point.
Yep.
Um, and then when you were near the heart,
Okay.
when you said, you felt something cold at the back. I don't know. For a few seconds, I did feel that at that
Yeah.
point.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, because
Yeah,
I find that with the distance sessions, um like you can still feel stuff. It just depends on the situation, but it's a lot stronger in person. And I think so I'm always interested to hear how it's
yeah.
affected each person kind of thing.
Thank you for listening to the Reiki session today. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if it's something that you are interested in, then please feel free to reach out to me and we can do a Reiki session of our own, or you can ask me about my intuitive coaching sessions or my 8-week and 12-week relationship and intimacy coaching programs. So thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.